Hello everyone, welcome back. As you can see, I've changed location. It's not that exciting, I just thought I'd point it out. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about grief and how I have coped with loss. If I can be of any help to anyone, that's fantastic. If not, it's a little bit of self-indulgence therapy for me, so I hope you bear with me on that. Let's dive in. In the last 12 months, I think a lot of us have dealt with loss of some description. More so, I think, than we probably would have ordinarily, due to the big Rona. So that's why I've sort of opted to talk a bit about this today. In August of 2020, I lost my dad. My dad Pete battled with alcoholism most of his adult life and all of my life. My parents got divorced when I was very young, and so as a result of both these things, he and I didn't have the typical father-daughter relationship. I think I saw him twice in the month leading up to his death, and I can say with 100% surety that those times were the first times we had seen each other and spoken in 2 years. And while his health had been declining, well, for the last 10 years, I would say, and I was expecting his death, no amount of expectation could have prepared me for it. Because at the end of the day, he was still my dad. No matter how that changed from when I was little to, by the time he was gone. He was still half of the duo that gave me life. So I've dealt with a lot of complicated feelings since his death. I've had a lot of anger, a lot of sadness, naturally. I felt a lot of relief, and I felt a lot of gratitude. The day he died, I made a little deal with myself on the way up, to see him, that because I was to spend the day surrounded by the rest of his family, I was going to put whatever I felt aside to be there for them. And that's what I did. And it wasn't until my grandfather died a few months later that I realised how unhealthy that was, when it all came out in a rather dramatic breakdown one evening, the week after my grandfather died, and I realised how much pain I had been pushing down and pushing aside so that I could take the weight of other people's pain. Don't get me wrong, being there for the people that you love in times like this is so important and is absolutely the right thing to do, but not at the expense of your own mental health. And that's something that I've learned in the last however many months it's been since August. I've learned that it is absolutely 100% okay to feel whatever it is that you're feeling. And that any feeling you have is valid. I felt so much guilt for feeling angry and relieved that my dad was gone. And not anger that he's gone per se, but anger at all of the things that he could have and should have been. And anger at myself for not making the effort, and anger at him for the same thing. And I felt so much guilt feeling all of that, but I have learned that every feeling I felt is valid and is okay. And that actually everybody understands. You know, another part of why I kind of pushed my feelings aside and told everyone that I was fine is because I didn't want people to judge me if I wasn't just feeling sad. But they don't. Funnily enough, people can be quite nice and understanding, and they get it. Losing my grandfather was a very different experience. He was someone who was consistently and constantly in my life, and who was a constant source of love and support and knowledge and entertainment, and is someone who I miss every day. So those feelings have been a little less complicated. There's no right way to grieve, because it's not supposed to be easy. Because death is sad. To put it simply, death is really sad. And so there's no right way to do it, and there's no right way to feel. And if you're angry, then be angry, and if you're sad, then be sad. And if you're relieved, then be relieved. There's no correct way to do it. There's no proper way to do it. And no one can tell you how you should feel, because it's a personal journey. Everybody deals with things in different ways. And every way is valid. At some point, it does become a little bit easier. I haven't been dealing with this for that long, so I can't say it gets so much better, it gets so much easier. One day, you're fine. I can't say that, because one, I'm sure it's not true, and two, I haven't had enough experience and enough time to deal with it. But it does get easier as time goes on. I cry less now, which is good. It's easier to talk about. And I do wish there was some magic button sometimes that I could turn it all off, or bring them all back, or, I don't know, just make it go away somehow. But there's not. A friend messaged me a little while ago to say that someone had broken his heart, and he'd never had to deal with it before, and he didn't know what to do. And he came to me sort of looking for a solution that I could just give him a magic fix for this pain. And I explained that the only way to get rid of it is to let yourself feel it. He ignored me completely. But what are you going to do? But I know I'm right, So yeah, I think that's my advice. Is the only way to get through it is just to get through it. And to let yourself hurt for a bit. that the only way to get through it is just to get through it, in whatever way that means. But don't let yourself go through it alone. You know, talk to someone, even if it's someone, anyone. Tell them how you feel. Tell them, you know, that you miss them a little bit more today, and tell them why, so that you have somebody to share in that with, because it's such a heavy burden to carry by yourself. I have no idea how to end this video, to be honest. But I think I'll leave it there. And I hope that if anyone is watching this who is currently under the weight of losing someone, that you'll know that you're not alone under that weight, and that it will get a little bit better.